Hey everybody, welcome. Today we're talking to Jeff Louella, who's a SEO expert. Jeff's worked for a number of large agencies in the past decade plus, and by extension has also worked with quite a few Fortune 500 companies. And Jeff, you're now at New York Times Wirecutter, which a couple of people may have heard about. I don't know. It's not well-known brand or anything. So welcome, Jeff, and thanks for joining me today.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, New York Times is a nice size brand to work on. When you get millions of visits a day, it's great.
For sure. And we'll talk a little bit more about that too. But give us a little insight into your background and kind of your experience with the whole world of SEO.
Yeah, sure. So I started off back in the mid-90s as a web designer. Kind of went to a community college, took an HTML class, helped build the school's website. From there, I got hired right into the world of, I guess, design and development. Back then, right. If you were a designer, you were a developer too, because there really weren't separate kind of fields at that time. But once there came a good field for designers, people leaving design school to work on web design, I realized I'm not a very good designer. I can copy people's designs, but I'm not very original. But had a whole bunch of experience doing kind of HTML, CSS. Well, back then it wasn't CSS; everything was table layouts. But and also doing some backend using Java and things like that. So moved into that world for a while. Worked for a few different agencies out there. I was at an agency called Razorfish, and as a software developer, and the head of SEO came over to me, and one day was like, "Hey, how would you like to come over to the SEO team?" After some discussions, I was like, I don't want to deal with keywords. I'm more of a technical person. So that was kind of where I was born, as being a kind of technical engineer. They called it an SEO engineer then, and not a technical SEO. But over the years, moving to different agencies, I've met up with you at agency called Rosetta, and was lucky
not
to
the language
some
company.
It's really big it's like some awesome clients there. A big team. That was like the biggest SEO team I've ever been on, there was a lot. It was amazing. Kind of from there went to smaller agencies because I was like, I'm done with these big ones. And realized sometimes smaller agencies, while you wear many hats, right? Sometimes you wear too many hats. And the one I went to, I was like the janitor / SEO. So I would take the trash out every day out to the dumpster and make sure. So we went a little too small at that point. But I happened to find like a happy medium at another company we kind of shared was Search Discovery, where it was like nice size where I didn't have to take out the trash, but also small enough where you get to wear many hats.
And work with very large companies that you wouldn't think for such a small agency.
Yeah, that was some great clients there too. That was awesome. Kind of like going to some of these clients' offices really made me jealous sometimes. But COVID hit. We had some downsizing, and I luckily fell forward and started working for New York Times Wirecutter division. As a technical SEO, now I'm moved over more into the product management role. Was still doing technical SEO up till about a week and a half ago, where I'm still a product manager, but kind of shift over to another team where we are focusing more on experience. So I'm still coming at things technically, still coming at them in a way Google first, making sure that when Google hits our pages, everything is indexable and things like that. But I also get to play a little bit more now with conversions and conversion rate and actually really focus on our readers and not necessarily focusing on Google first now. So that's actually been a little bit of a nice switch, even though it's only been a couple weeks. So.
Well, and that's always like a fine wire to walk, right? Like the balance between, is this a usable website or is it completely just for Google's purposes? Like there's trade-offs that you make with design and functionality. Like, companies want that really nice looking video in the background of their homepage, but if it slows it to a halt, then Google's not going to index the page or the experience is bad. And, so I think UX and SEO have always had kind of a dance going on.
Oh yeah, we definitely have, and it was really nice being able to use those years of experience, kind of working with all the other teams now, and learning what I learned from some really great teams over there, and just kind of leaning a little bit on my 20-year-old design and experiences there. But it's been great that way to just know that that I'm kind of completing the life cycle now of just web design and development.
Yep.
And I am still focusing on things like accessibility, which really kind of got me into SEO in the beginning because I was focusing on accessibility as a web developer. It really, really helped SEO back then, and still does today. So it's one of those where we really like to focus on that. Just the ability right now, we're doing pretty well, but we would like to be better, and that's kind of where I'm in now. So
Sure, for sure.
yeah.
So, I mean, SEO's dead though, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, everybody's been talking about that for years. Like every few months,
Yeah.
it's like, something comes out from Google and all of a sudden, everybody's like, hey, no, SEO is a dead industry. Like
Yep.
you can't impact Google. Google's going to do whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
how do you
no,
approach
it's so
that
dead
when
that it drives 60% of the traffic to my website. So it's
right.
and that's millions of visits a day. But
Yeah.
Google, it's one of those. They are tough to deal with at times. I am lucky right now that I work for a company that focuses heavily on like editorial integrity and
Yeah.
not really coming up like we're not content farm by any means.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish we could be a little bit more of a content farm, but because I want to hit so many different things that are out there. But it really saved us when we have all these new updates coming out, which there have been a lot recently from Google.
Yeah.
I'm at a point in my career where I'm not worried. Hey, maybe we'll see a little shift up and down, but I see websites go out of business because of some of these updates, and it's just because they are competing against sites like Wirecutter and the New York Times, especially in the affiliate space where Wirecutter plays. There's a lot of junk out there, and Google's been trying to take it all down, but every time they take something down, something new pops up, and it is a game. So people who say SEO is dead are mistaken. They'll always be mistaken. If you can search for something, there's always going to be a way to optimize that search, and there's always going to be. I actually think there's more opportunity now because you have huge search companies like Amazon. Like you don't think of it as a search company, but I mean, when was the last time you clicked through the navigation of Amazon to find anything that you wanted? You don't. It's just everything is done through a search on that. YouTube, some of these huge companies out there. I mean, YouTube is part of Google, but there's just more ways to search your app stores and things like that. So there's just way more things we can optimize. So SEO, I think, is bigger than ever, and it's one of those where you're always gonna find a way to try to beat your competitor. Because if you're number 5 or number 6 on a list, you can go up. So you're going to try to figure out ways of doing that, and most of the time it is through content. But when the larger websites you're on, there is a lot of technical debt that just piles up, and over time will slow your site down, will make your site less accessible, will make it less crawlable. There's new technologies that come out that Google hasn't caught up with. So there's a lot of new and old things that can actually hinder a website, and there's always going to be someone who needs to be there's going to need to be experts in that to be able to help that out. So.
Right, for sure. Yeah, and to your point, like the recent updates, we've seen a lot of the content/affiliate sites that have just bottomed out their traffic. I mean, you're talking about very large sites that are seeing 50% drops in traffic because they have too many we're assuming it's because they have too many affiliate links on some of the content or too many ads. It's not a good user experience.
Yep.
From a technical SEO perspective, like what are some of the tools that you've traditionally turned to and that you still find useful, like other than obviously your own? I know that you've dabbled in that in the past.
So there's always in my toolbox will always be Screaming Frog. Though I don't use it nearly as much as I used to, and there's some reasons there, but Screaming Frog is great for when we're doing site audits. We're doing competitive audits, right? You want to crawl your competitor's site, you can just pop it into Screaming Frog. There are people. I've taken down websites with Screaming Frog, it was funny in the agency world. I would always run Screaming Frog at a high speed, and if I could take it down on like a 2013 MacBook Air, imagine if there was actually an attack on your website.
The denial of service attack. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of like to push that a little and use some of that in my technical recommendations. Like, hey, maybe you need to strengthen up your site a little bit.
Beef up your servers.
Exactly. But it's also great because you can have it set to it extracts things like your title tags and meta descriptions and things. But they give you, I think it's 10 slots to create your own custom extraction. So you can pull things in like content blocks that you might have. We tend to have on Wirecutter like little service notes or notes on the side, like we've updated this, then, and that. So I crawl all those so I know when those change. So Screaming Frog is always one of the biggest ones in there. But I have recently, we've been subscribed to a tool called Content King, which just got bought by Conductor. But one reason I love Content King, and there's other ones out there, Deep Crawl and Botify, that the negative with Screaming Frog is that you have to run it. You run it from your local machine. Right. Having it in a SaaS platform just means that they're always crawling. The one great thing that I find with Content King is it's always crawling. It crawls our most important pages like multiple times during the day. It looks for content and technical issues that we might say. So if something changes, blocks of content changes, you can get alerts put through it. You can set the level of those alerts. But we set it up for any of our major reports or anything, or major crawls when it goes through, like anything that pops up. Robots text files changed or anything like that. It saved us a bunch of times knowing like something changed that shouldn't have changed. And being at such a big company, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, so you never know.
Oh, I'm sure.
When something's getting changed, and sometimes it's not bad by any means, but there's other ones where maybe we didn't know. Like we have our content schedule, maybe other things change from there. But knowing when there's a broken page or like a 503 error. The quicker you know, the quicker you can fix it. And if you're manually running reports every week or every 2 weeks, just looking like audit type of features, you might be down, for 2 weeks and not know it. So having a tool out there that's always checking, like I said, Content King's been great for us. Deep Crawl is another, they're more technical focused, but they're a great tool too. The New York Times in general, they have some tools they like to build that are they are a company that loves to build tools. So we have some tools on our end there that crawl our site, that actually look at our traffic and tell us when we have like traffic dips and things like that that come up. So those are the general tools that I use. There are hundreds out there. So sometimes there's this. For sure. Yeah. There's if you're doing research, there's always SEMrush, Ahrefs, SimilarWeb. We use a lot of those tools just for our content side of things, and research and knowing. But they also have technical features now, so they can crawl your site at the same time and alert you too. So sometimes there are tools that are overlapped, and we're always going through like, do we need this tool anymore? We just had a tool that looked at our core vitals every day. But we now build that into our analytics reports using real-time data. So we just canceled that service just because it was redundant. So things can get redundant pretty quick in the SEO tool world.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And they're expensive.
Oh.
So if you start adding on the tools over time, and it adds up from a cost perspective.
They are super expensive, especially like if you go to rank tracking, like tracking your ranks and stuff like that. Like some of those tools, being in the news industry, weekly tracking, sometimes daily tracking, like during our deal events and holiday events, like during Cyber Week, tracking every 15 minutes is optimal because you're playing with top stories, you're playing in those little areas. So the more you can actually track that, the more you see when you drop off that you can do some sort of content update or come out with some more content to fill that spot. If you waited a day, it's already over.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, a lot of companies don't have that, ability to change rankings that quickly because they're not as visible as the New York Times.
It's news. Yeah, it's different. It's same issues, just at a faster pace, right? Because especially on the news side, which I'm always curious about, but kind of happy I'm not over there too, is that because news is any second, right? Something pops up, and news is to me it was just crazy because it can happen anytime during the day. You have to be ready to be optimized all the time, and it's such a short window from when news is news and compared to it being old. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What are some of the, so, we talked a little bit about the updates and stuff. What are some of the biggest challenges that you're regularly seeing now that could affect, pretty much anybody? Like, what should they be aware of that is really the big impactors right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, recently too, I think there's been like 3 or 4 major updates that have come out in the last 30 days, I think. So, but the one thing that Google's really been focusing on, and it seems to be like all these updates are focused on, are just like the helpful content update. Like, is your content helpful to your readers or your people who are coming to your website? There's been a whole bunch. I'm in more of the affiliate space. There's been like at least I think 5 this year, like product updates, product review update, algorithm changes that are really focusing on like there's so much AI content out there, so much like spam, such thin content. Like, did you really review a product, or did you really actually have this in your hand, or are you just copying other people's content out there?
Is it just an excuse for a link? Yeah,
exactly. And that's Google's like they always have their core updates, which focus on a lot of things, especially like quality of content. So it really definitely over the last 6 months, it's like, and that's one reason in the beginning I said like I don't worry as much because I know we have amazing editors on our team, but I know not everybody has that, right? So there's really people cutting corners and taking shortcuts in their content. There's a lot of great technology out there these days that uses like machine learning and AI to help you write your content. And I think that's what some of the most recent updates have been trying to target is when you just give a tool a whole bunch of keywords and they write all the articles for you and spit it out. It's usually not great. Though I've seen some studies that showed some of that past these recent updates, so I'd love to know what tools those were using so that I know how to combat against it. Because there's having more content is usually better. Not always, right? As long as it's targeted to what you need. So it just seems like there's a ton of content farms, and there's always been content farms, like low level, cheap content. But now I think as an SEO, you don't need to farm that out anymore. You can actually farm that out to software. So it's going to only get better. I mean, we've seen, how many deep fake videos, the Tom Cruise deep fakes. Like, if you can do it with video and voice, like content's not far behind.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
And all the misinformation that's going out there, especially in the news side of things. E-commerce, you have a lot of Google now, like, showing products right in Google listings, and the SERPs themselves are always, the search engine result pages. It's not just 10 blue links, hasn't been for a while, but it's like you now need to have video content. You need to now have like really great images that are optimized properly. You really need to have a lot of those, like whatever you see in the search results pages. Do you have a local store? You need to be in local search results, and because they're just so broken up. And in e-commerce, there's all like Google is now showing you tons, especially during holiday times. There might show up to like 20 products right on that page. No one's clicking into websites anymore. They're clicking straight from Google to like buy it now. And that can affect, as an SEO, you're like, I need that traffic because I need to, justify my job. And sometimes getting it up on Google there is you're winning because at the end of the day, money is what matters. So you may be winning with people buying your products, but it might not look like it's coming from, organic search. Maybe it's coming from paid search or just coming direct to your site from something like that.
Yep. So on that, what are you guys using, or what do you prefer to use for tracking and analysis and the kind of data, like the impact that you're having on these programs? I know that from our perspective, coming from an analytics background, Google Analytics 4 has kind of been wreaking havoc with the industry, and Google's moving to that. So people that depend on that, it's changing attribution, marketing attribution. They're using the data-driven model for, which is an AI model, which is a lot different than last click. So what do you use? What do you, in your everyday, like how do you measure and monitor?
Yeah. So traffic, GA is part of my daily routine, though the New York Times has also built their own analytics platform. And that platform is getting better and more powerful. We store everything in to a BigQuery database. So we're able to query from that using tools. We were using a tool called Chartio. I think they kind of stopped making Chartio, so we've switched over to a tool called Mode. But Data Studio also hooks into that, and we're able to kind of create reports based off of those two, analytics platforms. Sometimes we put them side to side to see how different they are, and they are fairly close. To the point where we rely less on Google Analytics these days.
Sure.
I still love the interface of Google Analytics and digging in and doing things like that, but we are in the middle of figuring out like is it worth us tagging our whole site and redoing the way we do analytics to move to GA4, or just stick with our homegrown analytics tool? Not many other companies have that decision to make. You're going to GA4 because, and working with other, or, Adobe Analytics or any of the other big ones out there.
Right.
Google is really good at kind of, pushing people off of things that they don't want them on. So, so the GA 360 or, the normal GA going up to GA4. I haven't used GA4 a ton, and I've heard nightmares about it. So it'll be interesting. I really feel for a lot of people that go through that. In SEO, that is probably some of the bigger things is your analytics, but the other end of that is rankings. So we have a whole bunch of different ranking tools. The main one we use is Advanced Web Rankings because it's cheap, and it's I don't really love it, but it's cheap, and we can put tons and tons of keywords in there to track. We've also used a couple other tools in there. We're about to have something called Maker Week, which we kind of build our own tools. We have a week just to kind of go crazy and do what we want. So I am looking at building in like a news top story tracker. I have a little team that we're going to try to knock that out, just because, as I was mentioning, during holidays, tracking every 15 minutes is vital to see where we're at. Because we do product reviews. That's when people are searching the most. So Cyber Week coming up, Prime Days, any of those Labor Day holidays and stuff. We're always trying to compete in the top stories and news for anyone who's searching Best Buy deals or best toasters or anything that has best in front of it and it's something to do with reviews, or even gift terms, right? Best gifts for 13-year-old teenagers in your house or something. So it's we're trying to land on all those pages, and a lot of those will be in the news cycle during that time, and they go so quick. We might only be up there for an hour, so how can we track what it kind of impact we had during that hour? And we might have another post come up right after that. So no tracking tool that I know on the market really tracks at that quick of a level. It's usually daily. You can get them to be hourly, but they're still not focused totally on top stories. And sometimes we need to be that granular in the way we track our data.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even major platforms like Adobe Analytics and Google Analytics, especially during the holiday season, they don't want to tell you that, but there's significant data delays and lag between reporting and that type of stuff. I mean, I've experienced it on Adobe Analytics where it'll be a day behind during the peak, season. So,
and especially if you're using a free tool from Google, the Search Console that they have, that could be 3 days, 4 days behind, and some people just rely on that for their traffic. So if it's a great tool, don't get me wrong there, but if you are searching for quicker data, GA is probably the quickest you'll get, but some of those are always delayed, right? You might be 5 or 6 hours delayed on that. We do have a tool called Chartbeat that we use that gives you that real-time analytics. So during those holidays, we can see our content move. I think it updates every 30 seconds or something, so you can see where things are at. So Chartbeat's really great for that on the fly. It's kind of like what I wished Google's analytics real-time traffic looked like. Instead of just being one page with a number, Chartbeat definitely gives you are they coming in through AMP? Are they, mobile or desktop? And where are we seeing our spikes and where are we seeing things drop off? Which is always great to see. And it's fun to watch because it's kind of like a dashboard and you just see things moving around in it. And it's, coming from old school analytics where, things might have been delayed a couple days and doing monthly reports. To see things move every 15, 30 seconds is kind of insane to see.
Yeah, that's a lot. It could be addictive to kind of watch, almost like gamifying the analytics.
Exactly.
Yeah. How, with the ranking stuff, I know one of the things we run into with clients is helping them understand that what they're seeing as when they conduct a search is not what the tools are seeing. And we see that with executives, for instance, like, hey, you're ranking regularly for these keywords or for these landing pages. And they're like, well, I just did a search and I don't see it. And, like, do you still run into that with like executive teams? I mean, maybe not as much at the New York Times, but with some of the
Right. Yeah. But we still see it, right? People have their terms they search for, and depending on what it is, Google is very good at giving you results that you were probably looking for, because they want that click through on there. So there could be times that I'm searching for something and see it and you don't. It's just because I searched for that 20 times already. And even if I'm in an incognito mode, like my IP is still attached to that search and things like that. Yep. So part of rankings, I tend to run my rankings in LA and New York just to kind of get the coastal separations there. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia. So my personal search looks different than most of my team up in New York. So there, especially the more localized terms, right? If I'm searching for pizza shop or, anything like that, it's definitely going to give you local size terms. But surprisingly, you would think like best vacuum or a term like that would not fluctuate across the states or stuff, but they can. So
for sure,
we tend to use we have like our one source, but we also use as I said, like SEMrush, Ahrefs, AWR, Advanced Web Rankings, it's called, and I kind of meld them together as an average score. So I avoid using Search Console for my rankings because I don't trust them. And they give you average. So if you're number one and you have one at number 30, they're going to say you rank 15 for something. And I'm like, well, no, I do rank number one. So that's where I try to take like my top rankings on all those tools and blend them together. They're usually very close. So if like I'm number one in one, I'm like usually no further than number two in another one. Especially on the first page. But as soon as you get to those like second page rankings, they can they can fluctuate wildly, but being in the news world, like you have your like 5 or 6 CNN and Washington Post, like you have your competitors that are always there, and you're trying to it is kind of a game of inches at that point. Moving up, a couple can really be a big boost. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, and CNN, they know you're in Atlanta, so they're probably trying to sabotage you.
Exactly, and they are. It's surprising, these big news organizations, since New York Times bought Wirecutter, like CNN created something called Reviewed or Underscored, and then USA Today has Reviewed. So they're like newspapers are seeing that there is a model to this and being able to spread out some of their traffic around them. So who competitors were a couple years ago have totally changed, and you have a lot of the big guns in there now that have great editorial staff that can jump on trends. New iPhone comes out, they're on it like live at in Apple's campus as it's going on. So you're seeing a lot of that now, where it used to be a lot more just like specialty blogs or you had people like CNET that were more electronic based, right? Not necessarily getting into like toasters and stuff, but now they're over in that world too. So it is spreading out. The competition is getting way more fierce in that space.
And they have the budgets to actually go buy the products, to actually test them in a lab environment where, so it's not just theorizing how good they are.
Yeah, no, and that's part of the kind of expertise scores that Google had. Google, there's a E.A.T score that people talk about. It's not an official number, but it's, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. And a lot of these news sites like New York Times, CNN, and all have that built into them already because they have such great staffs. There's a lot of websites out there that just are taking Google's reviews and like saying, hey, this is what they've never seen the product. They never tested it. So, making sure that you have like the content to support it, imagery that like, this is actually the product in my hands, and a video of you testing it. All that stuff is very important these days in the affiliate space. So.
Yeah, and I've never tested it, but I know that there's been rumblings that Google will take it into as a signal if you're using stock photography or photography that's readily available. That if it's not your photography, not your video, that's a signal that they're using.
Yeah. So, and they're able to search all that, right? So, they know if you're using like a Google, you're going to Google Images and just copying and stealing something out from them.
Right.
So, yeah.
What are what are some of the other trends that you're seeing, like from the, stepping back even just a little bit from when you were still on the dark side of the agency world?
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest challenges you think that companies are dealing with right now that you've seen that they could or that they should be focusing on that they may not be?
Yeah. So from the company side, right, the agency side of things, as you probably will know too, it's like finding people is really hard these days. I think a lot of SEOs have gone solo or started their own little conglomerate of like, here's 3 of my SEO friends and we are, maybe not a full-fledged agency, but they're like a team of freelancers. I see that in the agency, like people I know on the agency level, and especially, I think it's everywhere because we have the same problem, at a large company too, is finding the right people, finding people who are, like I said, there's a lot that moved off. So it's like there's less SEOs out there, it seems. And when you do find the person that you're looking for, it's, one, you're going to be paying more, which is great for the SEO itself. But from the agency side, that could be a little tougher. But at the same time, as an SEO, you're going to be expected more from that agency, right? If you're getting hired at a company, budgets could be tough coming in the next year or so. We are like somewhat in a recession. I'm not going to call it a full recession yet. I'm not an economic expert, but I know people are being.
But I use money.
Exactly, yeah, and it's you're not able to hire 30 SEOs now, right? So you might need to wear more hats. So be open to I look at it as a great way to learn more things. I kind of got ultra specialized into a technical SEO role by choice. That was my like little niche, and then companies might not be willing to hire that niche anymore, right? They want someone who might be more well-rounded and looking for someone who might know a little bit about user experience or might know something a little bit about accessibility.
For sure.
Again, your specialty will still be SEO, but I always laugh because SEOs definitely put their nose in every part of the business. Like if we could sit next to the CEO and like tell them how to spend stuff too, we're like, we want more budget. We want, you need to know almost how to manage people, know how to manage clients definitely because they're going through some of those budget constraints too. So, so there's a lot more than just like knowing your SEO. I think these days that they become like a really a great employee for a company in SEO. To move the needle, there's just so much more competition out there. There's a lot more noise. There's a lot more areas. Like again, like does TikTok help? I mean, like that's where a lot of people are spending their time. I kind of funny. I was at a liquor store the other day looking for some tequila, and I was like, let me try this. I went on TikTok, typed in like best tequilas, and like just a whole bunch of review people popped up on there. I clicked the first one. He went through the top 5. It was right in front of me. I picked it up. So I didn't use Google for that search. Right. So there's more ways now that we might find the things that we want and the content we want, and it's not just on Google. Google still reigns supreme. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
I think you're going to have the ability to grow in other areas because Google itself is just like one area where you can get your customers from. So as an SEO, knowing those other areas and how you can work with each other and everyone be on the same team, high tide floats all boats, So one thing at Wirecutter, we do we're trying out TikTok. We're trying out everything just to see where we can get, where we can reach more readers at all times. We've recently switched over to a subscription model. So learning there's other ways to make money, right? Subscription's one of them. Yep. Now, being at a publisher, that makes more sense than if you were just, at a e-commerce company. You're not going to have a subscription, of course, or any other industry. But finding different ways that we can optimize the business itself and make money is another big thing coming up.
For sure. Do you feel like I know in the smaller agency world, the boutique agency like us. One of the things that's impacted us is kind of the people have a sour taste in their mouth when you mention SEO.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think it could be one of the reasons why people aren't going into it as much, because there's so many companies out there saying that they're SEO experts and they don't know
Yes.
what the hell they're talking about. And they're actually giving you bad information, or they're charging you and they're not actually doing anything. They
Right.
say they're doing SEO for your site. You're getting a monthly bill and they're doing some keyword reporting. Like, they're not writing content. They're not changing anything on the site. They're not, and it's kind of become a black mark on the industry a little bit. And, I think, frankly, it could be impacting the number of people that even want to get involved in it.
Yeah, no, I would agree there. I mean, I think it's always, black hat SEOs have always
Yeah.
been, have always been a
Get
thing,
rich
right?
quick.
I've been lucky in my career where I've always had to have, at least I think I would have went down that hole if I didn't have clients that would have fired me instantly by going down some of those holes. But I totally get that, where people have been burned, especially on the small businesses. There's a couple companies, I've gotten into some Twitter wars with CEOs of some of those small companies that charge like your local mom and pop shop $1,000 a month, give them 2 blog posts, and they can't do anything to their website. They can't do anything. It's like a really hard market to go into. I feel bad for small boutique business owners, because again, there you're wearing a billion hats, and being an SEO is not one that most are familiar with, especially if you're running a local store or a local shop. I do agree that could be just a bad taste in agencies' mouths, but actually, as someone who's young getting into an industry, it's not a glamorous position. A lot of times, because you are, if you're an artist and you're or an author, and you're really love to write, writing for search engines might not be in the constraint of what you really want to do. And being on the technical side, I want to try all these new software that's come out. And back in the day, we had the big thing with Ajax. Everybody was doing everything with Ajax, and Google couldn't read it. Those technologies now are commonplace, and Google is getting better at them. But there's always that new technology pushing the limit that as a developer you want to try to use out, but Google still needs to catch up. And I keep calling Google, but there's other search engines out there that are definitely further behind Google. So being able to have them read websites and understand them might be a lot harder than you think.
Yeah, I mean, we're working with a client right now who built their own website from scratch. It's an e-commerce website, which I don't recommend building from scratch. And Google can't read their links. So it's completely not indexable. And, it's kind of a big problem.
And it happens everywhere. So a couple years before I joined Wirecutter, we had the same thing. We upgraded to React, and our links were not visible. So we saw a big giant dip before I was here. So I think I would have blocked that maybe before it went live. But you never know. You're fighting your battles, and that's actually from the SEO side is what moving to the in-house from the agency is what I've learned is I used to write up giant reports of everything, strategies and everything we need to do for the next 6 months because I have a 6-month contract. I guess I realized, but being so self-centered, never knowing what that company is actually capable of implementing, what is actually on their backlogs already. So being on that side now, I have 8 months worth of work. So if we brought in another agency to get something fixed up, I might not be able to get to that because I already have a backlog. And there's also order to that backlog where, changing something small for SEO might not be in the list compared to something large that's going to help our readers overall. So there's that scale. So as a business owner that's hiring an SEO company, having those conversations, what can we actually accomplish? You're going to send me a million things. What can we actually get accomplished? But there are SEO companies also that, they're just sending you a report and, here, add these words to this page. There's tons of SEO companies that just do backlinks. And I think that's some of the negative feedback people get because how many times do I get, or you probably get too, LinkedIn people hey, I get them all the time for businesses I'm not even in. Like they want to help my agency grow emails, and I'm like, I don't work for an agency. Like, have you looked at my LinkedIn profile? I'll get you 4 new clients every month, and I'm like, I don't get clients like that. So
I think that's the trend right now because I get probably 10 of those emails a day. Like, it's amazing.
And I used to accept everybody on LinkedIn. It was like my free for all because I figured, hey, larger network, great for that. And I have now I have like rules. Like if there's no picture, then you're definitely not getting accepted.
Oh, for sure.
If you don't have any of your experience or any like recommendations from people, like you're not getting accepted. And still,
if you're a business coach, I don't accept you.
Exactly. But still, you go through all those lists, and half of them, first thing they do is they like DM you and try to sell you something. And I think that hurts the industry overall because it's, SEOs are very crafty, and we can come up with different ways of marketing to you. And the LinkedIn and all those profiles, like you're just getting hammered, people selling you links, people trying to sell you business to the point where it seems the whole industry is sketchy. So,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it comes across that way definitely because, one, it's not as glamorous as social media because everybody talks about TikTok and everybody talks about, short form YouTube videos and that kind of stuff. And it's just not as sexy as, tinkering with, content and trying to figure out why those links aren't getting picked up by Google and, looking at data. So for sure.
And as someone young coming into an industry like that is real, like you probably aren't on Google as much as you think you are. Like most of them spend their time. If I look at my kids, like screen time, it's like YouTube number one. They play their video games. So like in-game advertising is hopefully not prevalent to them as much. Like I actually subscribe to YouTube Premium because I was tired of hearing my kids listen to commercials 80% of the time. To watch a 30-second video, you're watching 2 minutes of commercials, and for $15 a month, I cut that off on the whole family. So now they're not being marketed to. As a marketer, I love to use ad block. I don't know, things like that.
I'm right there with
do
you.
as I say, not as I do kind of approach.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah. I purposely will never ever click on a banner ad. I mean, I don't like display advertising typically for my clients. Yep. And I just have an attitude about it. I will never click on a.
I do click on competitors' paid search all the time, though.
Well, for sure, yeah, of course. That's
make them pay for my click.
That's right, especially in certain industries where they're paying $20 or $30.
Oh, exactly, insurance and stuff like that. Yeah,
that's for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, what do you think is what's next? Right, you've got your pulse, the finger on the pulse of kind of where you see the Google moving and what you see happening in the industry. What are you looking toward or planning for or concerned about?
Yeah. So, I mean, as I mentioned as a negative, all the AI content and AI stuff that's out there, it's going to get good enough, I think, where it's going to be hard to distinguish good and bad. And I don't think it's all negative. I think it can definitely help with the content side, whether it's doing a whole bunch of analysis for you. Hey, let's look at the top 10 people for a keyword I want to rank for. What is everything they have? Giving me an outline, giving me, content blocks possibly that I could use that other companies are using, and how do I make that my own? I definitely think everything should go through a human before ever goes live on a website. Yeah. But I think it's going to get good enough out there where you're just going to see companies, and you're already kind of seeing it, but they're just going to be able to spit out thousands of pages of content a day, and it's going to be really hard to distinguish what's real. And, the whole misinformation thing, right, that we've been going through for the last, 5 or 6 years, that's all driven by humans. But now if that could be driven by AI, it can get even crazier because they'll be able to hook that into bidding type of wars on social media to be able to, get you the wrong information at the right time. If that's just to get you to get to their website. I think that is going to be a battle for some time to come. And I'm not saying that I think there's ways to use it for good. And again, as long as it's human edited and not just fully run, I think you can use it for just the research phase of things. I think you're going to see a lot of tools bring that in. Google's always changing. They don't I'm not gonna say they don't like SEOs, because I think they do, because it gives, like, the more anyone focuses on your company, good or bad, I think is one
Right.
that's going to be something that Google's going to really like. But at the end of the day, the scamming part and spam, they're always going to be battling. So you're going to have tons of updates. You're going to have them diversifying their search results even more. Where, right now we have, some videos, most of them are YouTube's, but like with all this short form video content, like Reels and TikToks and stuff like that, like how do you get those into search results? Because again, when I'm searching for an answer, I don't need, and this is some of the battles internally I have, like we have like Wikipedia length pages of this is everything we've reviewed, and that's great for SEO and the content that's in there. But as a searcher, sometimes I just need that 30-second clip of like, why do I need
You
this?
just need
or
that
what does it
little,
look like? Exactly. How-to content that is, we fix. I think during COVID, how long was the line at Home Depot? We had like lines to get into Home Depot, right? But it was everyone was fixing up their home, and because we were all at home at the time, so the ability to like rank for like how to fix my toilet and things like that, but also now associate that great content with here's where you can buy and this is how you're going to make money off of it. You're going to see just. I think it's really hard. Everyone says it's a year for search or voice search. Like I do see it coming in there. I don't know if it's ever going to be the year for voice search, but I think being able to optimize for that. Right now, we don't really have any data. Like it's really hard to optimize if you can't have the data to read it. So I think that's why it never really. It's catching on. Like our kids talk to like. Again, we yell at Siri or Alexa all the time. So just trying to figure out like where are our readers or our like people that are looking for our content? Where are they, and how can we find them? I think is kind of just the same with like cable companies. Everything went into like Comcast. Now it's all splitting out and going in again to Netflix and all the different Hulus and stuff out there for your that type of content. That's the same I feel happening in on the web. It's always been splitting, but like it's not Facebook anymore, right? I mean it is still Facebook, but like I think we see that as a sinking ship sometimes, and what is the next big thing where everyone's at, and sometimes I feel like Gary V just trying to like who would I invest in next, and all the big things out there to know where to spend my time, because there's too many places and not enough people and not enough like analytics to go around on a lot of those. So.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's a great point. Yeah, and I talk about this all the time where I'm like, there is so many different places for people to go that you'll see people that are YouTube famous that have millions and millions of followers, and I've never heard of them, right? Like ever heard of them.
Yes.
That wasn't the case 15 years ago when if somebody was famous, it was because you saw them on TV, and the majority of people culturally would probably know who that person is. And that's just not the case anymore. You can have people that are multi-millionaires with 10, 20 million followers on one of the channels. And there's just so many different ways to get to these people and to get to the content that there's no, consolidated way. So,
I right now, I lucky I have kids that I like follow what they do and I understand a lot of those names there, but as they get older, they're not going to know the youngers. And it's, it is, there's so much information out there these days and so many different people that like I've recently taken up, one thing you might know about me is I have tons of hobbies. I'm like, and my latest one I'm learning is disc golf, right? So I've been like following a lot of disc golf this year, and disc golf really blew up during COVID because you can just spend like $30, get 3 discs, and courses are free and they're outside, and they never got shut down during COVID. So, so it blew up. But like knowing who the number 1 disc golf player in the world is, like no one else knows, right? It's like
that's a very niche kind of
exactly like who knows who like, but that person like makes $10 million a year playing disc golf.
So and has a following. And
they have a following, but there's a million of them now, right? So if you like in TikTok, like the people who like Charlie D'Amelio, I don't even put a picture up, I wouldn't know, I just know the name. Just with all the dancing and things like that, where kids like. There was a trend where everyone's just walking around the store doing all their dances, and but they have 100 million followers. It's like wow, Like any of your cable news is not getting 100 million people every day watching their stuff. So it's like the way the influence has changed over the last couple of years, and where's that going, right? Like I love to say,
right.
VR. I know like Meta put all their money into Oculus. I love the Oculus. I love VR, but it's one of those where like going out and walking a trail to me is just way more rewarding. Not a trail in the metaverse. So
right. Or you're going to run into a wall.
Exactly. Those are fun videos to watch too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. Well, anything else that you see or that we should touch on?
No, not that I can think of off the top of my head. There's so much out there that it's growing that I feel that we could probably spend 2 hours talking of each individual one of them.
Sure.
In the Google space, just like keep an eye out for everything at Google is like all the updates. They tell you what they're looking for. So if you're looking to rank in Google, like there's a reason why, like they might not tell you what's in their update or exactly what's in the algorithm, but they're naming their updates now. It's not like the SEO industry naming them something, like Panda or Florida. They're actually naming them helpful content update. Like, the reason why you're not ranking is because your content's not helpful, or something like that. So it's really been great to see them kind of open up and become a little more transparent, even though they're not transparent at all. But at least they're like giving us a warning. There's an update coming. Before it used to just be like a panic Monday. You come into work and all your rankings are down and you freak out. So.
Like, oh shit. Exactly. I have told people too. I'm like, keep an eye on the Search Console, because if they have a report now that shows how many videos are being indexed on your site, it's probably important. Like if they have a report for how content shifts on your site because it's annoying and it causes misclicks.
Yep.
Probably important from a technical perspective that you pay attention to shifting content. So
and things like Core Web Vitals, like, do they help SEO? I mean, if you're really bad and you get good, yes, they'll definitely help. But we're in a spot where we're just on the line. So some days we're good, some days we're not, and we're trying to get it to where we're always good. But like I have some issues where it's like, is it going to help me with my rankings? No. Is it going to help me with more traffic? Not right now. Where we are trying to focus is we're trying to remove AMP, but we want to make sure we can, because AMP, at least to my side of the business, is a huge chunk, and I am sure it's even bigger on the news side, because that's where all the top stories are at. Google says that you don't need it anymore as long as you hit your Core Web Vitals and you follow some things. It is really tough, when they pushed us all that way, everyone jumped on it, especially in the publishing world, and now say that you can take it off. It is a significant chunk of traffic hits our AMP pages. So we are working to run some tests after this holiday season and early on in the year to just remove it totally. There have been some big news organizations that have removed it. So that is one of that. I would say too is like Core Vitals are important, but they're not going to make you rank number one. But if you are in an industry like publishing and media, it is way more important because you want to get into those top stories.
Yeah, for sure. Well, great. Well, thank you very much for spending some time with me. I appreciate it.
As you get
more involved in the usability aspect of your new role, we'll have to touch base again and see how that's impacting the business and what your involvement is there.
Exactly.
So
it's still tough to not think of everything in the Google first realm on it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
First meeting I'm having, I'm like, well, Google would look at it this way, and I got to get out of that. That way of thinking, even though Google does say focus on the user, so focus on our readers first, and it should make Google happy.
Yeah, for sure. Well, again, thank you very much, and we appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
As always, I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. We'll try to get back to you. And of course, like this if it was helpful, and subscribe. And hopefully we'll see you again here soon. Bye-bye.